healing process. And once again, I see this as a process. This is not an end destination. I will be on my own personal healing journey, I believe, for the rest of my life, which, you know what, I've come to see that as a beautiful part of my humanity and reminding myself of who I am and the person that I'm becoming. But yet, I see therapists as a huge part of the person that I am today. And these are therapists who have understood the unique elements of complex trauma as it relates to trafficking, and not just who have understood the unique elements of complex trauma, but these are therapists who are trauma informed and survivor centered and are really working in a manner that puts the survivor, which would have been me, which is me, first. Also, too, as I've mentioned, I've had a lot of medical challenges and medical struggles. And so these would be doctors that have treated me with compassionate care, who have shown me kindness in the midst of me walking through my own healing journey. Also, to safe relationships with healthy individuals who have celebrated my hard work, who've grieved with me on the days that are hard. I was in a car accident, and one of these safe people gave me flowers and just said, you know what, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. Look how strong you are. And like that just broke me down into healing tears, because nobody's ever treated me in that fashion and has celebrated my strength in that way prior to that time. Also, to individuals who've helped me learn adaptive coping skills. And those adaptive coping skills have been so vital in me grounding myself and being regulated when I'm triggered and stressed. And so one of the things that research shows is that our brains move into fight, flight, or freeze, or fawn, which fawning is adaptive ways of constantly saying yes in a passive manner. And so if our brains respond in fight, flight, or freeze, or fawning when stressed, then learning healthier coping skills can go ahead and help me learn to say no when needed. And not just learn to say no when needed, but it can also teach me how to go ahead, instead of isolating myself and freezing, how to go ahead and engage and attach to people instead. Also, too, as a mental health clinician and a nonprofit leader, my healing process has also included how to manage vicarious trauma and compassion fatigue, in addition to my primary trauma. And not only is vicarious trauma and compassion fatigue a real thing that has symptoms that do look like PTSD, but when it's paired with a primary trauma that constantly is being brought to the surface because of the work that you're doing, you need to go ahead and be very intentional in the ways that you engage with yourself and the coping mechanisms that you put into place. So I believe that I am so much more than my trauma, and that it is possible to live beyond the things that have happened. I look at myself and I look at the ways that I define myself as an overcomer, a warrior, a student, a clinician, a wife, a barista. I remember working at Starbucks and smelling the espresso as it would come into the cup, and just like knowing in my whole entire self that I am a barista. I used to be a runner, not recently, but I used to be a runner. And also too, I'm just a person who enjoys life. Yeah, I can still have triggers though. And I can still have days that are hard. And I can still have days where I feel all this sadness welling up. It's not that you go down this road of perfection. It's not that you go down this road of going, wow, I'm a leader. Wow, I'm a survivor. Wow, I'm a mental health provider. Wow, I'm a nonprofit leader. Rather, you can live in the and of going, I am a nonprofit leader, and I also too can still have struggles in my own hard days. And so holding that space of and being okay with both and ands is essential. This is so normal and this is okay. And I want to give permission to you right now, wherever you're at, whatever your story holds, because I believe each and every single human being has their own story. Whatever your story is, it's normal and it's okay for you to be human. It's okay for you to have your struggles, and it's okay for you to also wear your professional hat. It's not one or the other. What we do need to go ahead and recognize, though, is that it is a movement, and it is a movement that we need to go ahead and take towards resiliency. So, which basically means that, and when you have those struggles, how are you going to move towards a place of being resilient? When you have those triggers, how are you going to move to a place of being resilient? Resilience to me is a baby step process, which also looks like us going ahead and strengthening muscles. It looks like us being willing to go ahead and tentatively take steps ahead into developing resiliency, even when it might not feel natural, even when it's hard, even when it might be extremely painful. So how do we go ahead and develop resilience and post-traumatic growth, not only with the clients that you might be working with, but within our own lives? So the American Psychiatric Association defines resiliency as individuals' ability to adaptively respond to hardship, stress, and adversity. It's also been defined as the ability to bounce back from negative events without succumbing to despair. And that definition from the APA has also been used by Dougal, Sachs, and Zimmerman in Libruta. Even though I agree with part of this definition, I don't agree with all of it, because to me, I cannot see resiliency as the process of bouncing back. The reason why I can't see that is it's not like a sponge. When you take a sponge and you put an indentation into that sponge, it comes back to the same shape as it was previously. And yet, I myself, and I'm gonna just suppose, maybe you too, we cannot go back to pre-trauma states. I cannot go back to being a virgin, even though I did not choose to not have sex physically. I am no longer a virgin. And also too, I cannot go back to what it was like to before the traumas happened. That's not possible. But rather, what I can do is I can adapt and respond to that hardship, and I can respond to that adversity, and I can respond to that trauma in a manner that creates new growth. I love octopuses. I absolutely adore octopuses. If you've not watched the new documentary on Netflix called The Octopus Teacher, I highly recommend it, because on that documentary, to me, is one of the best representations of what post-traumatic growth and resilience are. For instance, there's a section in that movie where the octopus goes ahead and has an animal of prey eat off one of its arms. And the man who's doing the documentary is absolutely devastated, which would be quite normal for that situation. And finally, he finds the octopus again. And what is taking place is that octopus is actually growing a new arm. I'm sure that growing a new arm isn't easy. I think of when I have broken bones and the process of healing that bone. It's not easy, it's painful. And so I see the post-traumatic growth process as one where we can go ahead and respond in an evolutionary process to the things that have happened, enabling us to be a better person for the things that have happened. My husband, he works with kids, and one of the things that he tells the kids all the time is that you are under no obligation to be the same person that you were 5 minutes ago. And the same thing is for you. You are under no obligation to be the same person that you were 5 minutes ago. It's okay for you to change. It's okay for you to be a different person than you were even when we started this conversation.